Okay. And so then,
Hi, Colette. How's it going? Tapping Girl is with us. Colette does EFT emotional tapping. Michael, welcome. I can't see you, Colette, but there she is coming up. Hey, how are you?
Did I hit a wrong button?
I don't know.
there are no wrong buttons.
I love that answer.
How are you doing, Colette?
I'm doing good. Actually, I saw you right on your live. I walked by the computer and you were saying you were hooking up here. And I was like, save that Zoom thing because there's 18 other things I could be doing. And I chose to see what we're doing here because it sounds fun.
Yes. So how are you?
I'm awesome. How are you?
Awesome sauce.
You really don't sleep, do you?
No.
No, she passes out.
So webinar is now streaming. We're just figuring this out because this is Zoom Live, Colette O'Shea, and we are just figuring out how to share to my timeline. And there it is. Absolutely brilliant. So Michael has...
You can see it right now?
Yeah, I can hear myself talking. Doesn't sound good. Okay, so come join now, everybody. So Paul, can you share that link as well? Okay. Once you find it. Okay, I've just reposted it on my timeline.
Should I mute myself?
If you say something you shouldn't, I'll mute you.
Okay, because I was going to say that would be like the only time in my life I've ever been muted, right, Allie?
Girl never takes a breath. Needs to come up for air a little bit more often. Not right, Colette? Allie O'Shea doesn't get a word in edgeways when Colette O'Shea's about.
That's not true.
It's true. I have a video of you telling Jason Stevenson.
That's hilarious.
Jessica's with us. Hi, Jessica. How you doing? I can see Jessica's with us. So I'm here with Michael today, who has very kindly let us use his Zoom Live. And Michael is somebody who helps people to heal themselves, which is a very interesting statement. I'm sure you'll agree. Hello, Karen. Welcome to the show. Karen Anakis is watching. And Michael is going to tell you guys a little bit about his story about how he healed himself instantly of pain that he had in his body. So do you want to take it away, Michael?
Sure, I will.
We'll jump on as we continue on.
Yeah, and I'll just keep an eye out just in case people, come on. So, and we talked earlier today, so I kind of went over this, with you before, but there's a little bit of buildup before I was instantly able to heal myself, but I'll just, a quick overview of my, of my life, right? I mean, up until 15, sports was my life. That's what I wanted to do, and that's what I was good at. So that's where I put all my effort. But after a knee injury my junior year in high school in basketball, and a doctor said that, it's going to be 6 months before you can run again. 6 months to me at that point in my life was the rest of my life, and everything that I thought that I wanted to do wasn't going to be possible. And so in a moment of desperation, I guess, or a moment of not really caring anymore, I said yes to drinking. And up until that point, I was able to say no, even though my friends were drinking. But once I didn't have any reason not to, it was a lot easier to say yes. But what happened was once I started, then I wasn't able to stop. Yeah. And so that continued for 10 years and then led to drug addiction and then manufacturing, possession of methamphetamine, and 2 years in prison, right? And then after that experience, I thought that was my big aha, moment, and that was, my purpose was to help people with addiction. But
you wrote a book. You wrote a book about it, didn't you?
Yeah. So in 2007, I wrote a book. It's called 800 Meters, and it's just talks about my addiction and recovery. And then I decided I was going to go on a 12,000-mile bicycle tour around the United States to promote the book and the nonprofit that I started. And
Vic Allen is watching. Hi, Vic.
And then that didn't necessarily turn out the way that I had planned. And there still was a lot of ego and stuff in it, looking back. And then I kind of went through another, down, and then pulled myself out of that, and then had another couple knee surgeries. And then I was going to do a world record bicycle ride, and I ended up getting hit by a car and had to have both my knees operated on again. And so
you were just a real mess, weren't you?
I was. But this kind of all prepared me for being able to heal myself, because this is when I started looking at all these injuries that I was having. I mean, I've had 7 right knee surgeries, 2 left knee surgeries, 2 broken ankles, a torn quad, 2 torn hamstrings. And everybody would say that, oh, well, it's because you play sports too hard, or because you don't know how to go 50%, or whatever that people say. But really, it's because after the first knee injury, my life was in disharmony, right? Because what I thought of myself, or what I knew myself to be, the actions were totally different, right? It would have probably been different if I didn't think that I shouldn't be drinking at 15 and being out of control, right? But since I did, I was in disharmony, and it just opened myself up for more knee injuries. So I had a knee injury at 15, at 16, at 17. And at that point, I pretty much, just gave up on everything. And so in this...
Hi, Nigel.
Hey, Nigel, how's it going? So at this point, I'm starting to realize that maybe what I thought was true about my injuries wasn't true. And I started to get into like frequencies and vibrations and utilizing, patches and bracelets and stuff for athletic performance, but also for health, knowing that it was more to do with imbalances than it was to do with playing sports. The sports just brought out the imbalances quicker than somebody that might not have been active. And if I was a pitcher in baseball, it might have been the ligament in my elbow, right? And then I started experiencing back pain and groin pain, which at a certain point became my life. Right? I mean, I was no longer looking into, frequencies and vibrations and working with athletes or anything. I was just trying to make it through the day. And so I had an 8.5 millimeter protrusion in L4, L5, and it felt like I was getting kicked in the groin all day, every day. And I'd lost 3 inches off of my quad. And I just fought through this whole situation just to go from, doctor's appointment, and then 3 months later to see the neurosurgeon. And then I finally got to the point to where I could have surgery on my back. And 3 weeks later, I herniated the same disc, right? And then they decided, oh, well, we should probably just x-ray your hips, right, just to see. And then they found out, oh, well, you have bilateral impingements and torn labrums in your hips. So the groin pain wasn't even because of the back, right, but because of the hips. And that was probably the worst of the pain, right? I could maybe manage the back without the hips. And then the hip surgeon wanted me to do the back again, and then to take 6 months and to train and to get into shape so that he could do both of my hips. And at that point of thinking that I was out of options, because whatever the options that were presented at that time didn't align with what I was willing to do anymore.
No, I mean, 6 months is an awfully long time to have to wait to have that second surgery while your back is healing, for sure. And I mean, you were in so much constant pain, weren't you?
Yeah.
And by the way, Lee has just joined us, Lee Donnelly, so hello to you.
Yeah. And I mean, that was my life, was just working as hard as I could during the day so that I didn't have to think about the pain, and then just hoping I could make it till the next doctor's appointment, right? And so when that was no longer an option, and then, I was in the middle of a divorce, right? And not one that I even saw coming, right? Just all of a sudden it was over. It was like I was out of options. And so I had already understood enough about how I interfaced with reality, and knew that I had become a mini, I guess you could say, a mini savior, right? I already knew that my life wasn't going the way that I wanted it to go. So I might as well take everybody else's pain whose life isn't maybe going the way they want it to go. And so I was highly empathic, operating very sympathically.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't reading the energy of people. I was feeling what people were feeling, thinking I was doing them a service, but I was doing myself a disservice, and I was doing them a disservice.
Yeah.
And,
can I stop you there for 1 second? Caroline Byrne D'Souza has just joined us. And for anyone who does have pain, Michael is just telling a little bit of the background story about what happened to him and how he healed himself, and now how he helps to heal other people. And if anyone has any pain on the call, he's willing to bring you on to let you experience what he does. So sorry for interrupting you, Michael.
No, you're fine. So I didn't want to just let all that go, right? So my understanding of energy and stuff at the time was that I could program certain things or different things with energy, right? Yeah. And I knew that it worked because I could program a rock and then muscle test somebody, and they would muscle test stronger with the rock than without the rock, right? So I understood that I could do that kind of stuff. So I drove like 2.5 hours, out of town to a river, hiked up into the woods. And I mean, looking back, I'm not even sure why that was what I needed to do, but that's what I ended up doing. And
I felt inspired to do it, I guess. You felt inspired to go there.
Yeah.
And Deb and Steve are with us, and Angelo.
Okay. So, and I can't see who's with us. So, hey, everybody that's with us.
I can only see them on my phone, so that's why I'm looking down.
So, I wandered up into the woods, and I found a rock, and I put all the pain into a rock, and I threw the rock in the river. Right. And so my perception at that time was that the rock could take all the pain. The reason I threw it into the river is because I had earned all that pain, and I didn't want it to go back to whoever I had taken it from, right? And so, if I throw it into the river, the river will diffuse all the pain, or whatever it was that I was thinking at the time. But in that moment, I was able to let all that go. And so one moment I could hardly walk, and the next moment I was walking out of, away from the river normal. Now, the day before, I had taken my kids paddleboarding, and I couldn't even stand up on a paddleboard. But once I got back to Portland, I actually paddleboarded across the Columbia River. So I knew that one moment I couldn't do something, and the next moment I could. So I had a pretty good reference on, something must have changed. Now, the most amazing thing in that experience was that not only was I instantly able to heal myself, but I found that now I could focus my intention on other people, and they were able to then heal themselves as well. And what continues to facilitate the healing in me is that I can continue to see it happen for other people.
Yeah.
Right? Because when something amazing like that happens, you need to keep refreshing that amazingness, or else you'll convince yourself that that must have never happened.
Yeah, and it's about believing that it's possible. So we were talking about this earlier on the interview, weren't we, about going really from believing that you can heal yourself to knowing that you can heal yourself.
Yeah. So that transition has to take place, because the believing is not enough. Because there's plenty of people that believe that they're going to feel better, or believe that they're not going to get sick, or believe that they can, heal themselves. But it doesn't work, because the belief isn't enough to override all the subconscious feelings of the past that are stored in the body. But the transition from that believing to knowing then creates that emotional response that's great enough to override all the feelings of the past. But the reason it's possible that things can change instantly is because each moment in time is its own unique moment in time. So this moment is different from this moment. And as soon as the information changes, the next moment can be something totally different. So one moment I had torn labrums and an 8.5 millimeter protrusion, and the next moment I didn't. But what continued to facilitate that change was that I started to do things differently.
Yeah.
Right. So the belief created the action, and the action then turned into knowing.
Yeah. And that's what you help people to do now, don't you? You help people to heal themselves by knowing that the possibility, like that it is possible.
Yes.
I'd like at this point, I'd like to say hello to Darlene and Laurie and Sheena as well. So if anybody, there's actually 15 people on here at the minute. So if anybody would like to have an experience with Michael, Michael does this all the time. He goes live in his own group, which is called Focused Intention on Facebook, that everyone is welcome to join. And Michael does these videos quite a lot. But if anybody would like to come on to have an experience with Michael helping you to heal yourself, if you have any pain in your body at all, it doesn't really matter whether it's emotional or physical. Sure, it doesn't, Michael. It can be anything, even allergies and things I've seen you work with. I mean, you've got so many testimonials. You have about, I think you said 200 or 300 testimonials from people. You've helped a woman who was completely blind in one eye to restore her vision back 80%, which is phenomenal. So people need to know that and the work that you're doing. And this is why we are here live on my page. This is why I'm trying to get the word out to people that Michael is there to help people to understand that they can heal their own body.
Yeah, and I think part of it too is I think as a society as a whole, we've been led to believe that things need to continue the same way they're going. I mean, there's not a lot of possibility out there, right? I mean, at a certain point, people, and the way the ego and the subconscious works and stuff, it wants to let us down the easiest way to die, right? I mean, right? It already has planned our exit. And if it's going to be miserable, let's just make it as manageable as possible. And there's limited possibilities in that. So part of what I'm doing is just showing people what's possible, right? The results are great, right? I mean, I love the results, but it's more about the experience of what's possible. Because again, if we get too wrapped up in the results, we'll be disappointed, right? Like if the ladies whose vision came back to 80% was expecting 100, she could be disappointed with 80, right? But if somebody is in pain and the pain's a 10 and it can go to a 7, right? The beautiful thing about that is that if it can change from a 10 to a 7, then it can change from a 7 to a 5, and then from a 5 to a 0, right? Or the pain probably always goes from a 10 to a 0, and then what is accepted in that moment in time is a 7. And then at that moment it can go to a 5 and then, or a 0 and then back to a 5, and that's what's accepted, right? Because a lot of this is just about building belief in what's possible. Right? So if there has to be so much belief in any particular moment in time for something to change, I'm bringing my belief into the situation, or my knowing. Right? So I already know that it's possible.
Yeah.
Right? Because I instantly healed myself. So I can have a pretty good knowing coming into it, because I'm no different than anybody else, right? I'm not any more special.
Hey, I just thought, Michael, you could give the example of the man in the wheelchair and the woman in the wheelchair that we talked about earlier.
Right. So I just lost my train of thought now.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. Because of my life experiences, it put me in a place where I could see what was possible in this. Yeah. Right? Because there's still possibilities that I might not see yet. Right? I mean, like, you manifest miracles, right? You're really good at it because you have experience and you've seen so many miracles being manifested, right? There's no difference. I manifest miracles, but my experiences have made it easier for me to be involved in manifesting miracles with people that are in pain or, have injuries or whatever it is, right? So yeah. I can come into it with a lot of knowing, because I have to be able to offset whatever the other person's disbelief is, right?
Yeah.
And so if the more that I do, the more people I help, the more experience I have, the more I'll be able to offset, right? The more miracles that will be able to happen.
Okay, you broke up at the beginning there. So the more belief you have, is that what you were saying?
Yeah, like the more knowing I can come into the situation with, the more disbelief that can be offset.
Right.
Right. So the more experience that I have. So the lady with the vision, before I helped her, I thought eyes were difficult. And I rationalized in my mind all the reasons why eyes could be difficult. Right? Well, maybe it's because you're constantly seeing through your eyes and you can't separate from the last moment in time and blah, 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 right? But once the blind lady started to see, then people came to me that had vision stuff going on, and the results seemed a lot better, right? Because I had already experienced this huge miracle and I knew it was possible.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, and it, just like I was explaining to you, earlier, right? The person in the wheelchair, right? That hadn't stood up for 11 months, that was able to stand up, right? I had enough knowing and he had enough believing in order to stand up, right? But at that point, like, what's the next possibility after that, right? Him all of a sudden running down the hallway or starting to dance or whatever that next thing is, right? So in that moment, I have to be able to hold that belief long enough so his believing can transition to the knowing.
Yeah, and you knew that he was in a wheelchair, didn't you? So it was a little bit more difficult than another lady that you didn't even know was in a wheelchair that you were helping, and then all of a sudden she said to you, "I'm standing up."
Yeah, right. So there was one point where I was just, when I first started really putting myself out there, I was just helping people through Messenger, right? Yeah. And a bunch of people at a time, and they would message me and I would, just message them back, and then, oh, okay, what do you notice now? Whatever I do, but just through messages, right? But coming into it thinking that I could help everybody. And then afterwards, a lady said, oh my gosh, I just stood up out of my wheelchair for the first time. And at that moment, right, it was like, well, it's a good thing I didn't see her in a wheelchair, because I don't know if I would have been able to hold that belief long enough.
Yeah.
Right? So now that I'm doing things more on video and calls and stuff, and I can see it, sometimes it takes a lot more effort to get to that place of knowing anything is possible. And
Yeah.
that's part of the reason why I've started to show people and then tell people, explain to them what I do, so that they're able to participate as well, so that there's more belief or more knowing in that moment in time.
Yeah, because when you help people to heal themselves and they're giving their results in real time through video where other people can see them, then the word gets spread faster, plus other people start to believe it more.
Yeah. Well, and then
And
also, everybody's experiences are a little bit different, right? So the amount of knowing that other people can bring increases, right? So let's say somebody has healed themselves of MS or of some other thing that I believe that it's possible, right? Because
okay. So you believe it's possible to cure MS?
well, I believe it's possible to cure everything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I know that it's possible to heal torn labrums and bilateral impingements and a 8.5 millimeter protrusion, right?
Exactly.
I know that it's possible that somebody with arthritis can walk up and down the stairs because I've seen it enough, right? But somebody that already knows that that's possible because they've already experienced that possibility, it doesn't necessarily matter how they experienced it, right? If it was through medication, if it was through yoga, if it was through diet, if it was through a miracle, right? It just means that they can come into that situation and bring that knowing with them, right? So the more knowing in any moment in time, the greater the effect.
Yeah.
Right. And so, last week I just experimented with a small group of people, and then had a young lady who was in a car accident in 2013 who was paralyzed. Now, on my own, I was able to help her with her nerve pain and get her to slightly kick her leg. But after 15 minutes of just explaining what I do to people and having them do the same thing that I do, she was able to kick her leg for the first time.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'd just like to give a shout out to Joelle and Darlene and Jane, Bridget and Masick. If anybody would like to experience Michael doing this, please, if you want to put it in the comments on the Facebook page, we'll keep an eye on it and let me know. If anyone has any pain and would like to come on live on video, Karen is saying she would like to. So if you like, we can start with Karen.
Yeah, sure. Let me unmute her. And then also, I don't know what Tapping Girl's name is.
Her name is Colette.
Colette. Okay. All right. So Karen.
Hi, Michael.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you? Hi, Allie. Nice to see you.
Yeah. So why don't you just briefly tell me a little bit about what you have going on?
Well, I have a couple of conditions that affect my connective tissue.
Okay.
One is a genetic disorder, and then the other is an autoimmune inflammatory arthritis.
Okay.
And the two work in tandem to give me problems all over the place. So, but the thing that I'm experiencing right now, and I'm sort of like mentally preparing myself for needing surgery, is this finger on my left hand. And it is what's called a trigger. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, a trigger finger or a trigger thumb. So, and I only know that because I had both of my thumbs, I had the triggers released. And so I just know that it's the same kind of thing that's going on with my finger.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know if you want more information about.
That's good. So the most important thing to remember is that it doesn't matter what something is, right? Because the next moment it can be something totally different. Right now, most people will try to convince you that what you have is something that you're always going to have. Right? Like, oh, it's a genetic condition. right? And then, oh, well, great, it's my parents' fault, right?
Yeah.
But they've already proven that we can upregulate and downregulate our genes with thought alone, right? That we're no longer victims of our biology, right? It's environment that turns things on and off, right? So we know the science, but really we don't even need to know the science because we've seen the miracles, right? We know that people heal instantly all the time, right? We just might not know exactly the how, right? But it's more, the most important thing is that it's possible. So I think you said something, I think I heard you say, I know, did you say, I know that I will need surgery, or?
No, I think I said that,
That you are preparing for surgery.
yeah, I'm mentally preparing myself
Right.
for, you know, yes.
Right. And so,
I'd love to not have to have surgery.
right. And that's what, so that's what we do a lot of times, right? We mentally prepare ourselves for the worst case scenario, that then all of a sudden we're living that worst case scenario because there's no other options, right? Because we know that this is going to be the outcome or the progression, right? So again, it's about building belief in what's possible, right? And if things can change a little bit, then maybe what you thought you knew wasn't correct. Okay, so with the hands, like, is it painful all the time?
No, not all the time. I mean, I can push on it and experience pain. I can, it hurts the most in the morning. When I first wake up, my finger is locked. I don't know if you can see me, but it gets locked, and I have to literally, like,
Oh my goodness.
straight. Yeah.
Have you had issues using that finger too much in the past? That was a joke. That was a joke.
I was getting.
I was going to answer you in all entirely seriously.
Yeah. No, I had to throw that in there every once in a while because, I mean, eventually I want to be able to be a comedian, I think. But
He likes to think he's a comedian. He should be wearing a red nose.
yeah. So, all right. So right now, how does just your hand, how does it feel?
It's just, it feels just a little sore.
All right.
Like on the, you know, if I'm not moving it, it's just a little bit of a soreness on my palm.
And then if you move it, what do you notice?
And then if I move it, yeah, well, I get it gets stuck when I, you know, make my hand into a fist.
Okay.
That finger gets stuck, and then I have to kind of like yank on it to straighten it.
All right. And what about the arthritis stuff? Do you have that throughout your body too?
I do.
So knees, elbows?
Yeah, pretty much every single joint in my body.
Okay. So does that limit you from doing things?
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
So, like, is it painful to walk up and down the stairs?
Yeah.
All right. Because sometimes the more physical something is, the quicker it can change. Because just like the action of not being able to paddleboard and then being able to paddleboard, my subconscious wasn't going to convince me that didn't happen. Right? So somebody that can't walk up and down the stairs, as soon as they can walk up and down the stairs, right? They know that's that transition to the knowing, right? Because we can see it happening. Okay. So after we do this, I'll probably have you just, you know, check your finger, but also too, try the stairs and see what you notice. Okay.
Yep.
And then again, the most important thing is it's about the experience, right? Because let's say you were to stand up and and you still had trouble walking up and down the stairs, but walking to the stairs, it felt fine. But for whatever reason, as soon as you started the stairs, you're like, oh no, it hurts. Didn't work, right? Then again, there would be no possibility for anything else. right? So it's just about the experience of what's possible, right? And if it can change a little bit, then it can change a lot. And I've done this enough to know that I need to really let people know that that's what they should expect. Because the one thing I don't want is people to be disappointed and think, have all this hope and then think, oh, well, it must be me, right? Because everybody else is experiencing all these great things and then it didn't work for me. And so it must be a me thing, right? It just means that it might take a little bit more work.
Right.
Right? All right. So relax for me for a moment, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so what do you notice now, if anything?
Actually, I'm a little bit surprised that after just a couple of deep breaths, I was able to get into a nice, calm place.
Right, and so that's usually the first thing that people will notice, right? But again, that's one thing that then we'll convince ourselves that it was nothing, because I can get into a calm place every once in a while anyway, right? So what about with let's say your knees and your elbows and stuff?
I feel pretty good.
Okay, and then what about with your one finger?
I will say it's still locking when I make a fist, but not to the extent that it was just a couple minutes ago.
Right. Okay, so just relax for a second, because I'm just going to focus specifically on the finger, okay? All right, so now move that and see.
Even better.
So why don't you just, if you're comfortable, just get up for a minute and just kind of move around and just kind of see how you feel.
Well, she's doing that. I just want to give a shout out to Diane, Tara, Diana, Max Andrew, and Natalie Chapman. So we have 16 people on here with us at the moment. And if you're just joining, Michael is helping people to help heal themselves. And if anyone is in pain, we're going to do Tapping Girl afterwards, who is, of course, Colette Leosi. I've just noticed, guys, by the way, these are 3 people that I have on my podcast: Karen Anarchy, Michael, and Colette Leosi. So that's pretty amazing to have you all here on video.
We're the faithful.
So for anyone who is just joining, Michael is helping people to heal themselves. If you have a pain in your body, he's going to do Colette next. I'm not sure how many people we're going to go through tonight. If there is anyone out there who's in pain and would like to, please stick your hand up, put a message in the Facebook comments if you want, and we can get you on. And Michael.
Yeah, and then also at the end, we can just do a big group thing, and everybody should notice some sort of a shift. So they don't necessarily have to have any specific, physical pain or whatever.
Brilliant.
Okay?
Brilliant.
So when you got up, Karen, and walked around, what did you notice?
I did notice that my hips are still really, really tight. I've been battling this hip thing for a couple years now. But in general, I feel pretty good.
Yeah. So let's just focus on the hips for a second. But I want to just take maybe a moment and just kind of explain just a little bit of how I think at this moment it works, because it could change tomorrow. But so if we only have so much, let's say, focus or so much intention, right? And let's say we're focusing on the entire body. Sometimes it's more effective. Like healing should be healing. But like if somebody's watching the video and if they can grasp the possibility that they can tap into that belief, right, they could experience the healing just by watching, right? Because the belief isn't unique to Karen, right? The belief is just that possibility that Karen can feel better, but Karen's no different than Nigel, right? We all have the ability to tap into that new possibility. So, but sometimes when we are more specific, like specific to the finger, specific to the hips, it allows us to take more of that intention and just put it right there so that it can offset maybe disbelief that's just specific to that. Right?
Can I just interrupt for a second?
Of
Darlene
course.
has said, I'm in pain, but I can't get on Zoom. Well, I'm sure Michael would accept a friend request. Is that right, Michael?
Yeah, for sure. And then if you can't get on Zoom, I mean, we can do it through messages as well. I mean,
yeah. So if you hear that, Darlene, if you're still here, you can always send Michael a message, and his name is spelled Mikael Luman, Luman. He also has a group on Facebook called Focused Intention where he does lives, so you'd be able to go on Facebook Live as well.
Yeah, and if she wants to message on the comments or whatever and just say what her pain is, we might have some time. We can focus on it in a second. So,
right. Okay.
All right.
Sorry for interrupting again.
So, Karen, let's just focus on the hips for a second, okay? And then I'll have you get up and move around again. All right? All right, so if you're comfortable, just kind of get up and see what you notice now.
It's actually a pretty big difference.
Yeah.
Not that I'm skeptical.
Right. Well, we're all skeptical because we've been disappointed so many times. Why don't you try walking up and down the stairs and see how that feels?
Sure.
Is it Christmas where you are?
Oh, no, it's my purple peace tree.
Oh, okay.
Darlene said, oh, bless your hearts. Thank you so much. I will. Natalie Chapman said, I'm always in pain from head to toe. I was hit by a car and I was poisoned. I have nerve pain. My head twitches and shakes. I have epilepsy. It makes me feel deja vu of dreams I've had. And then I start to pass out. It feels like I'm dying and I go into the dream. I hallucinate when I'm sleepy and all the pain gets worse too.
Is she able to come on the call?
Natalie, are you able to come on a call? If you are, let us know and we can bring you on.
So, yeah, Karen?
Yeah, big difference going up and down the steps. Big difference.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it looked like, you stepped up no problem.
Yeah.
So now how's your finger feeling now?
It's better than it was when I first joined the call, but it's still, I don't know, can you see the video?
Yeah.
Like it locks. Isn't that weird?
Not really, because can I tell you something? I broke my finger in high school and I've had 2 surgeries on it and mine locks.
Oh, really? Same finger?
Yeah, middle finger on that hand. And
your finger buddies.
And I probably could heal it, right? But there's always a cost reward, right? Like I could probably sit around and do everything mentally, but do I want to spend that much focus on it? Like it's easier just to exercise than it is to focus on being able to exercise whenever I want and not be sore, right? Or to eat whatever I want and not put on weight, and then just sit here and focus on letting all the weight go, or whatever it is, right? So I've just chosen to use my focus on other things, right? Because it's not that big of a deal for me that my finger does that.
Right.
Right. So let's just focus on that finger though one more time, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now do that and see.
No way.
Way.
You're going to teach us how to do that? You're going to help
Yeah.
us with our focus?
Yeah.
That's remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny because the responses in the moment are different than they are after the moment, because it sometimes is hard to believe that it's all of a sudden better, right?
Yeah.
Because the blank look in your eyes is
Right.
like
Earlier, Michael, do you remember?
yeah, it's like what do you say? What do you do? Like, right, is this even real? And then also, if this is real, then now what is possible?
Right.
Because when you put people into that place of unlimited possibilities, it can be a little bit scary. Right? So if we were to take an hourglass and cut the ends off of the hourglass, right? And this is the small point right here, right? On the other side, it's all these possibilities, and gosh, that would be amazing. But as soon as you take that first step into that amazingness, it's like, well, now what is going to be expected of me? Right? It's like when I was in pain, there was nothing really expected of me. Yes, I had to go and work all day long and do that, but I wasn't expected to do much with my kids. I wasn't expected to be that great of a person, right? I could be a jerk if I wanted to, because guess what? I feel like I'm getting kicked in the groin all day long, right?
Yeah.
So, right, as soon as that possibility opens up, right, sometimes that ego's going, whoa, wait a second, right? Think about this. I don't know if you're going to want that, because now you're going to be held accountable for all this stuff, right? And so that's another reason why building a group of people and having a network or a group, right? So that there are people that are experiencing that same thing, right? Because if I were to send somebody back into an environment that isn't maybe the best for change, because if you all of a sudden change, people around you know that you're changed. And not everybody wants to change, right? Some people might want you to be the old you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then they'll convince you that you want to be the old you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's sometimes good to have a network of people that are experiencing the same thing, so that people don't feel like they're all alone in it.
Yeah.
And
Who's that that's just joining there? Ivory Chantel? Hello, welcome. Nat, I wonder, nod your head for me if you're Natalie Chapman. No, you're not Natalie Chapman. Your name must be Chantel.
yeah,
Ivory Chantel.
I'll unmute. So Karen.
Sorry, because somebody called Natalie Chapman. And you know the way people sometimes have different names than what's on their iPads, etc., etc. That's why I'm asking you that. So Natalie Chapman was going to join. Diana Colleen says, who's one of my tribe, says, that is so awesome sauce. Cara Mel Stewart says, I had a cleansing shower today and I got to my right foot, I see black. My right foot had a terrible tingle in it that wouldn't go away. Natalie said that she can, but she's very stage fright and she's a hot mess right now. So maybe, Natalie, it might be better for you to contact Michael directly through his messenger on Facebook.
For sure. Or just do audio. I mean, she doesn't have to come on the video. She can do audio. So, Karen, this is pretty awesome, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And so just know that because we don't know what's going to happen when you leave here, right? If something changes a little bit, right? The most important thing is that it can be how it is right now, right? If you can walk up up and down the stairs the way you just did now, you can walk up and down the stairs that way forever, right? If the finger is fine now, it can be that way forever. It might just take a little bit of work to keep it that way.
Does the person have to believe, do they have to buy into it for you to be able to heal them?
Well, everything is choice at the most fundamental level. But since we can only see, or we can only interface consciously, right? Somebody consciously can say that they don't believe, but yet all of a sudden feel better. Or somebody can say that they want this, they want this, they want this, but nothing ever changes, right? So belief is always something that's being built, right? It won't always be instant, but the possibility for it always working is still there, right? It just might take a little bit more effort. But time messes us up. When we put a time frame to something, right? It's like we want it to happen right now, but there's really no difference between it happening right now and happening in 2 weeks, right? Because it's happening. We just don't see it happening yet.
Right.
So, Michael, can I just ask you, you said to Karen, it might take a little bit more work. What do you mean by that? Well,
so let's say that Karen leaves here, and I don't know her personal relationships or what she does or whatever, but let's just say she has a friend that's a very negative person that is going to try and convince her that, oh, that wasn't real, right? He's just trying to get something from you, right? Oh, you just thought it felt better, right? Or you go to a doctor that says, oh, you're making a mistake believing that, and you're going to end up in a worse situation because of it, right? So we don't know, or I don't know where Karen's going after here. What I do know, though, is if she feels this right now, that she can continue to feel this. And that's what...
So she has the choice, doesn't she, to feel that?
Yeah, and to know what this feels like. Right? Because as soon as she knows what this feels like, then it's much easier for her to get back here on her own. Or to watch a video I have online that the healing's in the video. But sometimes it's hard to grasp that it can be in the video. But if she already knows what this place feels like, she might be able to watch the video just to get back here.
Yeah. Okay. And so, Karen, maybe it would be a good idea for you to join his group called Focused Intention.
Sure.
Cool.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Jane Mendenhall said, I saw Jason Stevenson interview Tap and Girl while he was replaying it live, Small World. Well, I, in fact, introduced Jason Stevenson and Colette Leosi to each other. So that's how it's such a small world. That's from Jane Mendenhall. And Jason Stevenson, of course, has the Sleep Channel with 1.3 million subscribers. Deb says love, and Diane Morgan Williamson said great point. And Natalie Chapman has just joined us, so she was one of the people who was looking for your help. So, so much for being a willing participant, Karen. It's lovely to have you here, and I'm delighted that you had those effects, and it's amazing. Make sure that you join Michael's group. And for those of you who are just joining us and wondering what the heck is going on, I'm here with Michael Luhman, who is somebody who healed himself instantly, took pain out of his body, and now helps other people to heal their own bodies. And on this call, we are taking people on that have some pain in their body, whether it's emotional or physical, and Michael is helping them to heal themselves. So we're going to go now to Allie O'Shea because she's next. So I believe she has some pain in her body that she wants to be dealt with today.
Sure. Okay. So
Hi, Michael.
Hi, how are you?
I am awesome and amazing. And you said so many things. I'm telling you what, I'm like coming out of my body.
Yeah.
It's the, you know, the believability that if it's good now, that it means it can be. I mean, all those things.
Yeah.
I get so much, you know, that's so much of what I do in my work.
Yeah. And I mean, healing works because it's meant to work, right? And there's a lot of ways to get there, right? But and that's the amazing thing is it does work. So there are a lot of ways to get there, right? So what do you have going on?
I have my left knee. It's been going on and it goes back and forth in the body, but it's been the left knee for a while, and it just feels a little off where, you know, it takes about 4 or 5 steps and then it cracks. Yeah. And then today I'm actually feeling it in that big butt muscle. So I don't know if it's connected to the coccyx. I don't know what's connected to what. It's just when I go down the stairs, it feels like off, and I don't like that feeling.
Yeah. Okay. So
she came up for air.
Well, I thought since Michael's doing the work, I'd let him talk.
Okay. So let me just focus on that for a second. And I mean, you heard everything that I had said to Karen, right? So I mean, you already understand. So just when you walk up and down the stairs, do you notice it then, or just when you start to walk a few steps?
I can notice it. In fact, this morning when I got out of bed, I was like, I hit the floor with like, oh shit, one of those. Yeah. It's not terrible. It's just annoying.
Yeah.
Like a nickel.
And
like a who?
And I'm sure that at some point you hit the floor saying the same thing, whether it hurts or not.
Actually, usually when I first get up, it's, you know, it's not a big deal. And this has only been going on for a couple months, but I don't know if it's connected to other stuff. But this morning, and now everybody listening is going to hear me say this, my first thought was, I need to tap that out. And because I'm as human as everybody else, I went about my day, and it's like, now the butt's hurting, and I'm like, okay, yeah. Seriously, now I got more to do. Yeah. So I just thought I would let you do it.
For sure. And just because we're empowered and we're capable of doing everything ourselves, that doesn't mean that having help is wrong or bad or whatever, right? Because the whole point of this physical experience is to have personal relationships with people, right? We're not meant to do life on our own.
Yeah.
Right?
I love that. I love that you said that.
Yeah. And
no, when you said that about your finger, I absolutely got that.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows I'm pretty transparent. Yeah, I got my own stuff, but let's start tapping and let's move stuff, because we're always doing that. But it doesn't mean that I have nothing going on.
Well, and at some point I came to the realization that it's more about me knowing that it's possible than me being perfect. Because there's been times that my life can be pretty hectic, right? I can do some pretty poor things, right? But the healing's still effective, right? But I've also learned to know that since each moment is its own moment in time, when I come into it, I detach from what has happened, right? I know enough to forgive myself and to forgive others, right? And then to have enough compassion for myself and for somebody else that I want to do whatever I can to make life just a little bit easier for them if they're willing to make the choice to do something, right?
Yes. And in my work, just so you know, just like you said, when we get somebody out of pain, when we get that shift, the thing that I'm always telling them is the same thing you said, and that is, don't be upset it's still there or it came back some. It's the excitement about we moved it.
Yeah. Yeah. And to be excited that it has changed. Right. All right. So just relax for me. Let's focus on that for a second. Okay.
Am I focusing on the butt or the knee? The knee, because that's where it started.
Well, you don't even necessarily have to focus on anything. I mean, I haven't found a set way to have people be, right, that's more effective or less effective than anything else, right? I just like the person just to relax. You know, sometimes I'll say, you know, just try and get present and just let go of everything that has happened, knowing that you can come out with something totally different. Okay?
Thank you.
Just relax for me. All right, so you want to try that now?
Do you want me to go down the stairs?
Or just stand up and just kind of see, you know, how it feels for a sec.
Diane Morgan Williamson, you can just join the group by going to focus.
I can definitely tell a difference.
Okay.
Sorry, Allie.
It's okay.
I was thinking it was me and Michael and forgot you were talking to
No, you're good. So, okay, so you notice a difference. Is it all
It's
the way
relaxed.
Down? Okay.
It's relaxed.
Good. Okay, so just go.
I was going to say, I actually feel the butt muscle more than the knee right now.
Okay, so let me focus on that for a second. Okay, so just relax. I wanted so bad to say something funny there, and I held back.
I wanted you to. I wanted you to.
Well, I saw something yesterday on Facebook, and it said, I have a big butt. Now I'm going to go find a guy that lies or that doesn't lie, right? Because of the song. Yeah, I like big butts, and I cannot lie. Yeah, I thought it was funny. Okay, all right.
I'm right there with you, just so you know.
Okay, so, all right, so relax again. All right, so now move around and see what you notice.
I will tell you this before I do that. It was really weird because on the outside of my left ankle, I felt something. Feels pretty mobile to me.
Okay.
I just did some stairs, and sometimes normally what it'll feel is I kind of favor it. There was no favoring.
Okay, well, that's awesome.
Awesome sauce.
Yay.
Woohoo.
Cool.
Fun.
So, you know, I mean, just like I told Karen, right? And I mean, you already know, right? I mean, yeah, wow, that's amazing that it can change. I mean, now what's
that fast?
Now what's possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And gosh, things can change pretty quickly, right? And I guess, you know, part of what I'm doing is changing the baseline of what's possible, right? Like, no longer do we have to think that things have to take weeks or months or years, right, to get better. But those time frames are put into place by people that are afraid that the results can't come quicker, right?
Yes, and I just had to threaten the doctor because he tells my husband it takes 2 months for something to heal, and guess what? It takes 2 months to the day. And I told him, if you do that again, I'm gonna be waiting for you outside your office. Stop telling him that. Tell him a day.
Athletes are great because it's pretty easy to increase performance because they want to perform better. But they're so afraid of injury that once they have an injury, their recovery time is based off of everybody else's. So all of a sudden, an ACL is 12 months, right? And maybe I can make it back in 11 or 10. But it doesn't matter because it could heal instantly and you could be back next week.
Yeah, and you're speaking my language because we actually had an NBA player here that had broken his leg. And one of the things that I kept saying was he's got that running in the back of his mind. And so he's not playing as well as he can because he doesn't trust.
Yeah.
And he's afraid he'll do it again. So you're right. Once you plant that seed.
Well, and you see it all the time in sports, right? I mean, a big contract or needing to sign a big contract creates an imbalance, and then all of a sudden a guy that's bigger, faster, stronger leg all of a sudden falls apart, right? But again, when we hold on to imbalances, right, it presents itself wherever the weakest link is, right? So because I was playing sports where I was using my lower legs, that's where all my injuries occurred. But it was just because there was disharmony that opened myself up for more injuries. Okay, cool. So if you need, message me or, and let me know how it's doing. And, just like I said to Karen, yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Are you showing us today what it is that you do?
Sure.
Okay. Well, no.
I will before we finish. I will, and then okay. I guess I'll tell everybody, and then at the end we can just do a big group thing, and however many people are on it can, experience whatever.
There's 30. There was the 19 at one stage. There's now 12 people watching on Facebook, and there's 4 other non-video participants in the background here on Zoom. And I know that Natalie is waiting, I believe, for the next one. So well done, Colette. That's awesome.
Well, I just want to say thank you very much, Michael. I appreciate it. And thanks, Allie, for facilitating all this.
And where are you from?
I am actually just outside of Indianapolis, Indiana. We just had the 500.
Oh, cool. I've been there.
It's a cool place.
Yeah. Well, the outside.
Where are you?
I'm in Portland, Oregon, but I did a 12,000-mile bicycle trip in 2007, so I've pretty much been everywhere in the United States. But I remember wanting to see the Indianapolis 500 and thought I was at the bleachers of the high school football field until you get inside, because from the outside, it doesn't look like it looks on TV, right? On TV, it looks like, wow, this is just this amazing place. But once you get inside, you're like, oh, wow.
Well, if you do the mini marathon some year, because that's how they open the month of May, then the course actually takes you run a lap at the Speedway.
Awesome.
So you could do that.
I'd rather do it in a car, but I could. Cool.
Okay, right. Great. Thank you.
Okay. So, Natalie, let me unmute you.
Bronwyn has just joined us on Facebook. Hello, Bronwyn.
Okay, Natalie? Natalie?
Is she gone?
No, she's there, but I can't hear her.
Is she muted, or did you just unmute her?
I unmuted her. Let me see.
Can you hear?
Oh, I can kind of hear you.
Hear me? You froze. Oh, they're not.
Try saying something again, Allie. Okay, well, we're waiting to see if Natalie can talk. I just need to look over here and see, because somebody messaged me something I want to.
Okay. So for anyone who is there on Facebook, Michael has been showing people how to heal themselves, and has just done some work with Colette and Karen, and just trying to talk to Natalie at the moment, but we're not hearing Natalie correctly or loudly enough.
So who's Jason Stevenson?
He's one of my best friends.
Oh,
He's one of the biggest meditation teachers in the world, and he's got a sleep channel with 1.3 million subscribers.
Oh, awesome. Okay, because somebody had just messaged me and said that they just saw. Was it who was just interviewed? Let me see.
Well, I introduced himself and Colette O'Shea to each other because we did. Cool. Myself, I set up a group in January with 6 of my friends, including Colette and Jason and Tony Doyle, and a few other people that I had collaborated with over the last couple of years, and we set up a group. I set up a group, and we each did a day each in the month of January just gone to raise the vibration of the planet and to kickstart everybody. So yeah, cool. That's how we all know each other, through me. So
cool.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's all to do with co-creation, and it's about empowering other people. It's about you know, letting other people know that there's enough room for each and every one of us here, and that, you know, we're not in competition with each other. We each bring to the table something different with our energy, with the work that we do, etc., etc. So that's what it's about, and that's how we know each other.
Cool.
I've known her for a couple of years. Natalie says I could go on the video if you want. So maybe if you bring her onto video, Michael.
Okay, let me see here.
There she is. Oh, she looks lovely.
Awesome. Okay, so Natalie, can you say something? It looks like she keeps freezing a little bit.
Yeah, it might be her Wi-Fi. Oh.
Natalie, maybe see if there's some place that you have a better connection.
Yeah, if she could get closer to her Wi-Fi connection itself, sometimes that helps.
Sometimes I like to hold one hand up like this. That helps with the signal. Okay. I've played that with my mom sometimes, and I can get her to do it, but you guys probably wouldn't.
Oh, there she is. Look. Oh, now she's frozen again.
Well, it's all these. Natalie, I think we can kind of hear you. You know, okay, so instead of doing video, Natalie, maybe just is she
So she is always in pain from head to toe. She was hit by a car and was poisoned. Oh, there she is.
Okay, Natalie, can we hear you?
Oh, she's frozen again.
If she uses the dial-in number.
Is it working now?
Oh, it is now. It was. It is.
Okay.
All right, so okay.
Oh, she's totally freezing.
If there's a dial-in number right at the beginning, right? Or is there, I don't know if the dial-in number. Okay, now she's outside. No, inside. Can you hear us, Natalie? All right, let's just do it. Let's do this. Let's just do it through the comments. Okay, are you able to comment in the?
Yeah,
in the
she was.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just use the comments in the
You hear me?
yes.
No. Yes. Okay, just use the comments in the chat box, Natalie, please, because you are freezing every couple of minutes.
I might need Jason. You know, I have trouble sometimes getting in that happy place when.
Here, do this.
Yeah. All right. So, Natalie, let's just do this. In the comments, just briefly, just tell me where the pain is the worst, and on a scale from 1 to 10, what is it?
Okay, she said, okay, I'm here on Facebook. Sorry about that. Okay, Natalie, so can you just tell Michael where the worst of your pain is, please? And I can relay that to him.
And if she does it in the chat on Zoom, if she can, then there won't be like the 20-second delay that there is on Facebook. But if not, she can do it on
I'm not
Facebook.
sure why she came off Zoom, maybe because the reception just wasn't good for her.
Okay.
Deb says use aluminium foil. I don't know what that's in relation to, Deb.
Aluminum foil.
Aluminum foil. That's how you get better reception. It's like the old antennas. Thanks, Deb. Deb's hilarious.
You know, so I don't know about in Ireland where you live, Allie, but I have Comcast here, and it seems like every month I'm on the phone with them because I have something going on with my service. And the only way that I can keep from like exploding all over them is to like have fun with them. I'm like, well, yeah, you know, I've been up on the roof for like the last hour, and I've got the antenna and I'm moving it in directions, and they're still just talking through their script.
You know what? You're manifesting that, and you believe that you are going to have problems every month, and so you keep manifesting it.
Yeah, it's because I like getting up on the roof and playing with the rabbit ears.
Natalie has answered. She said, my back, my shoulder has a knot right now. My bones hurt. My head hurts. My head feels lots of pressure. I have a pineal gland cyst too. My brain has no electricity going through on my right temporal lobe.
Okay, so let's focus specifically, just really quick on just like the back pain and the shoulder pain, and then we'll get to the other stuff. Okay, so Natalie, just relax for me. All right, so Natalie, what do you notice now?
So while we're waiting for Michael to answer, one of the reasons for this call also was that Michael is doing a healing session on, is that on your page, Focused Intention, Michael?
It
Saturday?
will be. I'm putting the invite together today, and
great.
I was going to bring the link, but the other night I tried to do a Zoom, and I had created 2 links, and then for whatever reason, when I went to go on live, the wrong link was on the invitation, and so I just wanted to wait till after we did this because it irritated me and it messed me up. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so that will be on Saturday, and you know, if you send that to me, I can share that on my page.
And it'll be on Saturday at 11 Pacific Standard Time,
which is 7 p.m. GMT, and it is 2 p.m. EST. Natalie says, I feel a little better on my shoulder. The knot is a lot less.
Okay. So, and Natalie, it's probably better if, like, you just message me, so that we can figure out how to just get together and do it, because I just want to make sure that you have the best experience possible, right?
Brilliant.
But if I'm glad that the knot feels a little bit better, and then the back pain, and then if stay on the call, because I think here we'll maybe do a big group thing or something, right? And so and you might be able to get even more relief out of that. But make sure to message me, because if, like I said earlier, like if we can get little things to change, right, then we can get all of that to change.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you, Michael. And so do you want to go ahead and do that? Because we have been live for an hour and 20 minutes now. So for anybody that's interested in seeing more of Michael, please join his Facebook group called Focused Intention. Michael is accepting friend requests and messages in Messenger as well. Michael's given up his free time and his energy for this. So a big thank you to you, Michael.
Oh, for sure. You're welcome. And thanks for having me on here. So how many people are watching right now?
At the moment, there's 11. Diana Coneen just had to leave. She said, thank you so much. This was wonderful. Natalie has just said, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I really do. Thank you.
Okay. And Natalie, I know you do. Okay.
So we have 11 on Facebook and 4 in the background here of Zoom.
Cool. And so I'm gonna briefly just explain it, kind of what it is that I do, and then we can just spend like 2 minutes or 3 minutes just focusing that intention into the video, right? But also people that watch this afterwards, right? The healing is in the video, right? Just like the healing's in that moment in time, the healing's still in the video, right? The same way that I'm here and you're there, and Natalie's wherever she is, and Karen's wherever she is. It doesn't necessarily matter the space or the time. It's always available. Sometimes it's just a little bit easier to wrap your head around it, and then to be able to step into that possibility. So what I'm doing is...
Before you do it, I just want to say hello to Sheena, and Diane says thank you. And so does Deb.
Cool. So first of all, I'm coming into the situation knowing that it's possible, right? Just kind of like I explained earlier. I know that it's possible because I healed myself. I continue to know that it's possible because I continue to see other people heal themselves, right? So I'm coming into it knowing that that possibility exists. I understand how each moment in time is its own unique moment in time, right? And so I know that I can detach myself from the last moment in time to be that much more effective in this moment in time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So part of it is I forgive myself and I forgive others. And I know that whatever I'm doing in the moment is who I'm being, right? So don't hold on to what I've done in the past and feel sorry for myself, right? Knowing that if I want to be great, I just need to do great things, right? And each moment, do the best that I can do in that moment, right? And then also, there has to be enough compassion, right? So the compassion is part of the belief, right? Right. Mm-hmm. The compassion is that I know how sucky life can be because I've been in some pretty sucky situations. Right? I mean, I spent 10 years addicted to drugs and alcohol. I've been kidnapped. I've been shot at. I've had relationship issues. I've had a lot of stuff, and then all the physical pain, right? I mean, I've had a lot of sucky stuff happen. I've experienced thinking that I lost everything that I ever wanted, right, out of my life, right? So disappointment or whatever. Then, so I can have enough compassion in that moment to understand what somebody's going through and want a little bit better for them,
Yeah.
right? Because again, that's really all this is we're silent cheerleaders, right? We know what the person's capable of, right? We're just cheering them on until they know that they're capable of it, or cheering them to start the race, knowing that as soon as they start, they'll be able to finish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then in that moment when I'm focusing, I'm not really focusing on healing. I'm just focusing on the possibility. Right? And knowing that the world's done this to people, and that I can, for a brief moment in time, push the world back so that they're capable of being a little bit more than they're being at that moment in time. Right? So if people are the light, and that light is dim because the world's done this, I'm pushing the world back so that that light can shine. Or I'm creating a spark so that light can shine.
Yeah.
Right? So either the more I push back, the easier it is for it to shine, or the more knowing I bring, the easier it is for them to know, or the bigger the spark, the easier it is for their light to ignite. So whatever it is that, how you perceive it, I mean, all those things are still kind of the same thing, right? It's just believing that they're capable of so much more than what they're able to do at that time. And knowing that the reason that they're not able to is because it sucks.
Yeah.
Right? Because if they knew that it was possible, they would be doing it. Right? So that's where that huge compassion can come in, because I really know how hard it has been.
Yeah.
Right? And so I can silently encourage them to just take a little bit bigger step, a little bit bigger step, a little bit bigger step, until they believe. So, you know, just like with Karen, the verbal stuff is just what we hear, right? But I'm silently coaching her and holding that possibility until she is able to believe it, right? Until she doesn't need me to hold that space anymore because she's already got it.
Yeah. Yeah. Deb says truth chills, and Sheena from Ireland is watching from Tenerife and says hello, Michael and Ali. And Angela is in Florida and she's very hot. Luann says great message, and Diane Morgan Williamson says such inspiration. So we now have 15 people on Facebook and 4 extra in the background here of Zoom.
Awesome. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to focus this new possibility into the group. Right? So anybody that's listening, right, that would like to experience a little bit more than what they're experiencing right now can tap into that. Right? And it doesn't need to be specific to an individual, right? It's just we're all putting our compassion and our knowing into this moment so that people can have an experience.
Right. So it's a collective thing that we're doing.
Yeah. With a little bit of harmony. Mm-hmm. Right? Because collectively, unless we're in harmony, it doesn't make it more effective. Right? Yeah. We can all be different notes as long as it's in the same harmony, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then if anybody's listening that is experiencing either emotional pain or physical pain or whatever, when we're holding this space and people start to feel something different, they can comment, right?
Yeah.
Because it's interesting to know what other people get out of the experience.
Okay.
All right. So is everybody ready?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So just, take a moment and do whatever it is that you need to do to prepare yourself to be just present in the moment, right? And in that moment, there's only possibility. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here we go. So just everybody relax and just get present in the moment. And just focus your intention of your knowing into this moment. So now I just want to take just a few moments, and I want everybody that's on the call to just take a moment and let's just all focus on Natalie. Okay, so and everybody's heard enough about what Natalie's going through, right? That we can all focus our intention on Natalie for a second. So Natalie, you're listening. I know, just relax for a moment, okay? And we're all just going to focus our intention on you, okay? So just relax, Natalie. All right, so Natalie, if you want to comment what you noticed, that would be amazing as well. And, Allie, one of the things is like, it doesn't necessarily take a lot of time.
Yeah.
Right? It only
It's
takes.
We're told that it does, isn't it? And we hold those beliefs in our.
Right. Like if I had been certified in Reiki, right, and I thought that it would take 60 minutes, right, then I would be fighting that 60-minute time frame all the time.
Yeah.
But since it happened instantly for me, that's my expectation is it needs to be instant.
Yeah.
Right. And so that might not be the same for everybody, right? Some people might need to focus their intention for 2 minutes or 3 minutes, right? Because in that amount of time that they're focusing, they're building up their own belief in what's possible.
Yeah.
Right? And it's always a we thing, right? Like I'm constantly building belief, right?
Yeah.
So that I can offset any disbelief.
Yeah. And that's part of the reason that we're doing this video too, is so that people can see for themselves, that anything is possible.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and there was a time too where I did things a little bit different, because after I healed myself and I was on this like exploration journey, right? And all these possibilities were open, and I was talking to everybody I could, everybody was giving me their idea of what was possible, right? And so I still had to kind of navigate because I was still trying to grasp it, right? And so I wanted to ask other people if they believed what happened, right? Was because I needed validation, right? That it happened, right? So it took some time for me to really get to this point of trusting enough to just know what I know and do what I do and not need anybody else's validation on what they do. Because it doesn't matter how I get to a certain place. The only thing that matters is in that moment in time, there's enough belief and enough knowing that the change can take place.
Because other people can put doubt inside of our minds.
Yeah.
Natalie has just answered. She said, thank you so much. I actually was feeling lots of pain. And after a second after you was done, I started feeling a numbness and felt much better. It's still feeling better. Now she said, just sent another message. It's starting to come back a little, but it still feels better.
Yeah. And so Natalie, just message me and we'll figure out a time when we can talk and we can maybe take some of these things one at a time to really get, some big changes.
Perfect. And Lizzie has just joined. So Lizzie, we are just almost finishing up now, but you can go back and watch the replay because it will be sat there on my page. And, you can join Michael's group, which is called Focused Intention. He helps people to heal themselves. And he will be doing a live healing session or a video on Saturday at 11 a.m. PST, which is 7 p.m. GMT. And it is also, let me see now, 2 p.m. EST. I think, 5 hours difference from EST. Yeah. So
Cool.
There you go. Well, thank you so much, Michael. It's been absolutely a wonderful evening, and I'm sure everybody agrees what an amazing job you do, and we all appreciate that. So thank you so much for your time and for your energy and for the hope that you instill in people to have the belief that they can indeed heal themselves.
Well, it's the amazing job we do, right? Because I could sit around here and think how amazing I am. If there's nobody else involved, eventually I'll convince myself I must not be that amazing, right? So it's always a we thing.
Absolutely. And Natalie has just said again, thank you, and thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Okay.
All right. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining in. We appreciate your attendance here. And we wish you a lovely day or afternoon or evening, wherever you are in the world.
Cool. Okay.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Michael.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye, everyone.